Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Westover and welcome to The Awkward Swan and the first of my book reviews. So I was already reading lots and lots of books. I read them on my iPad, on the iBooks, and I also listen to a lot of books on the Audible app. And I'm signed up to their monthly subscription, and so I just get the freedom to download quite a lot of books from there and I listen to them. And I was starting to, well, let's start here. I read quite a lot of business books or self-development books or kind of books that are an amalgamation of both of those ideas. I don't really read fiction unless I'm on holiday. But still, I find at the moment, because I've got so much going on with my career, I've got so much going on with my businesses, that even when I try and read fiction, I always end up putting it down and turn into a book that I get more out of. So I wanted to review a book that I read a couple of years ago. I think I read it maybe 3 years ago and it's 2018 now. I read this book, I remember exactly where I was when I read it actually. So I had decided to take a break from my finance career, take a break from everything, take a break from England and London. And I hopped on a plane and I went to Costa Rica and I did a 3-month road trip over there. And it was the most amazing experience of my life. It changed so much about how I thought about my life in London. And it really gave me such clarity on what I wanted to come back to the UK and achieve. And I've been doing that, and next March 2019 will be my 3-year anniversary of coming back. But when I was in Costa Rica, this was crazy enough, one of the first books I picked up. It's Year of Yes, I'm just looking at it on here, Shonda Rhimes. People might know Shonda Rhimes because she writes quite a lot of television series and is massively popular, and I think she had like her production area in the US is called Shonda World or Shondaland. It's called Shondaland. So she's hugely successful, and I saw her on an Oprah Winfrey show. I think it was Super Soul Sunday. And I really enjoyed listening to her story about how she said she was hugely successful as a TV writer. I think she produces, maybe directs as well. But there were other areas of her life where she didn't say yes to stuff and she kind of shied away from things. And, you know, public speaking being one of them for her, and it's an example in her book. And so she decided to say yes to opportunities that came her way, and how over the space of a year her life completely transformed. So let's face it, we're not all Shonda Rhimes, we're not all going to go on Oprah, and we're not all sort of celebrities or well-known names that people would want to talk to. And therefore some of the examples in this book in particular, it's like her being invited to do the commencement speech at her university. I don't think I would be asked to do things like that. So she got offered quite a lot of things that are sort of big, massive engagements because of who she is and how successful she's been. However, that did not put me off, and kind of there's a reason we all like following celebrities, because they do things that are big and bold and maybe we're never going to get an opportunity to do it. But it was quite ironic how I had decided to say a massive yes to ditching quite a lot of my work here in the UK and having a 3-month road trip in Central America. And I felt I was on my year of yes, and reading this book really encouraged me to do more. And I started writing, and I just started thinking about my life and saying yes. What I realised, so let's quickly go over this book. Generally she has a year, and for every element of her life, be it food, be it some of her fears, she just said yes when opportunities came her way. And she really realized that by saying yes, you have to really address your fears, that once you've committed to something, there's nowhere to run. But also there were massive positive outcomes to her decision to say yes. So I know on the food front, she was saying she said yes to everything, including like the naughty food. And she realized she could just have a bit of food rather than like lots of the food that she liked. And so she said yes to every like element of her diet. And she lost quite a lot of weight over the year. That's just like one example. So that's basically what the book tells. Each chapter is another version of her saying yes to something. And, you know, the fear that she went through, the fact that she followed through and stuck to her commitment by saying yes and delivering on that, and always a positive outcome. It's really well written. She's very funny. Her stories are very compelling. And as someone who was in the period of their life of doing kind of a year of yes, I felt like I had a buddy. And that's quite something to get that from a book. But it made me think about what other yeses I wanted to follow in my life. It also made me think about what I'd said yes to in the past that really perhaps should have been a no. And so it's very easy to read a book that basically says when an opportunity comes your way and you're from the outset a bit fearful of it, definitely say yes, follow through, just break through that fear. But I think my problem was more I was saying yes to everything and I possibly didn't know how to say no. And I was spending a lot of my resources, my time, my money, my emotions, just my effort, my energy on things that I said yes to that I knew I didn't want to do and that I wasn't really that fearful of. I was probably more fearful of letting people down and being able to set a boundary and say, no, I'm not going to do that. And actually by reading this book, I started addressing that. And it's one of the reasons why when you go on to the Awkward Swan blog, you'll see the line underneath, the tagline says intentional change. I could say yes to everything and just like get on and try and do it as best as I could. But I wasn't being intentional with my time, my resources, my money, all of that. I was not saying yes to the things I really wanted to pour my heart and energy in. And that's actually partly what this book taught me. And it came at the perfect time, just the right time for me to look at what I wanted to say yes to and to focus on those areas so that I could think about where I wanted to spend that time and what value I wanted to bring and what I wanted to get out of it and how overall it would add to a life full more of adding some contribution back into society, which is what I was looking for at the time, be it with my finance clients, how I could add value and contribute, but also on other levels, which is why I've kept the Awkward Swan going. And I look at coaching on all sorts of levels, as well as in my business of Accounted International, where I do business coaching. The Awkward Swan is more about career coaching, life coaching, definitely talking about money, and just where you put your efforts, really. So I think it's obvious to say that I really enjoyed this book, and it's a really nice place to start if you're thinking about making change in your life, and just to see someone's journey and to see there are some stories where it's just like really embarrassing for her, but she just gets on and she does it. And you know, even though I couldn't exactly resonate with that exact example, there's definitely things I've done over my life where I've been completely embarrassed in the moment, and it's not until a lot later you can look back and laugh at it. But it's really well written, it's really funny, it's really compelling, and it's great stories. It's some of it is great big bold opportunities that many of us won't get, but it does make you feel like if there's something in your life that you want to say yes to and you've been fearful of it, then perhaps it's a small opportunity compared to her massive opportunities. And so what am I fearful of if it's just something that is, you know, a small thing that I can push through and get done? So I really, really recommend this book as just a start point to change. It's probably more towards females, I would say, than males. But highly recommend it. If it's your first port of call for change, it's really just a nice journey into that. And so I will see you soon on another video. Thanks, bye.